Welcome back to another episode. You're here once again with GMAK the Boilerman. Man, we've been really going hard at this content thing and trying to bring the different topics to you guys to discuss, and really just coming from a small business mindset. We have a fairly large company, but I wouldn't say we're one of the biggest at all. And in our defense, or from our perspective, we're really just coming on here trying to do our best to help some of you guys out. Whether you're starting off in business, whether you've been in business for a little while, we've become pretty successful as a small company. I really just want to do our best to bring you good content and help you out. If you haven't already, man, hit that subscribe button down below. Hit the like button. Let's get these, algorithm going. Push our videos up. We're doing a lot of hard work here. We take a lot of time out of our day to bring you as much great information as we can, which hopefully is helping you in your journey to entrepreneurship, because it is a hard journey, and anybody that's on it, I have nothing but love and respect for you because I know how hard it can be. So, getting back to small business and service industries, one of the things I wanted to discuss with you guys was kind of pricing. Now, I'm not going to get into the dollars and cents specifically, but it is very important for you to understand your price point, especially as opposed to some of your competitors. And in my opinion, it's become one of the hardest things to do, because it's not like you can just get on the phone and call your competition and ask them what they charge. That's not realistic. And we also live in a world where, especially where I live in New York City, they're not just chomping at the bit to throw prices at you. Typically, they're going to want to come visit your building. And obviously, I'm a boiler man. I don't have a building for them to come check. And I can't just poach pricing. And it's not really about poaching, but you want to make sure that you're competitive. But obviously, if there's a company with 100 trucks and you're a company with 2 trucks, you can't charge the same price that somebody else is. And honestly, in a lot of ways, that gives you a leg up on the competition. I don't really look at guys as competition, because I'm out here helping other companies all the time. But at the same time, in a way you are competing, because other companies are basically buying. I mean, especially in our area, and I don't know, with the way the world is now, all these bigger companies are trying to buy the little guys. So, in a lot of ways, yeah, you're in competition against some of these bigger companies. And if you ask me my opinion, I feel like, and I think I just said this, but to reiterate, I think we have a leg up on the competition if you're a small business. If you're a large business watching this, you could still use the same principles, but maybe your how you represent yourself changes, because your overhead is bigger. I mean, at the end of the day, you can't avoid overhead, and you can't overstate how important it is to keep your overhead as low as possible. I remember, working for a smaller company, and I went to go back to work for my family, and the boss, who was amazing and I had a great relationship with, and to be honest with you, I would have never even went to do my own company had the opportunity to go back to work with my family. Never happened. I probably would be still working for that guy. But with that being said, that's more to talking about being a good boss, and maybe I'll do another video on that too. But with that being said, the biggest piece of advice he ever gave me was don't get too big. And I know that sounds kind of like counterintuitive to some of you, and even some of the people I follow in other industries as well. It's always like push, 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 and be the best version of yourself every single day and make it as big as possible. But the truth is, it is how big you want to get. Some of these larger companies, it's great to be a big company, but at the same time, your overhead just keeps growing. And as your overhead grows, it becomes more stressful, let's be honest. I have a fairly small company, but we operate large, if that makes sense. So it's like we have the manpower we need to cover the area that we need to cover. And here he is again, Ace the mascot, into another video. Come here, baby. Look, say hi. You see? Look at this. Look, right here. Oh, this is my best friend. Can never get mad at this dog. Look at how cute he is. 1 year old tomorrow. At least while I'm shooting this video. But with all that being said, your price points are going to be really important. As you grow, as you're in business longer, your insurance is going to go up. Everything goes up. So you always want to be mindful. It's so funny when you first get into business, or even when you have guys working for you. Everybody thinks that the money's just rolling in and that they're working and you're making money hand over fist. And I always found that funny, because they have no idea the amount of overhead between the fuel, between the insurance, between the company's insurance, between liability insurance. But at least in New York City, it's crazy. And even though our overhead is still lower, and the way we have cars and trucks and vehicles on the road, man, it adds up really fast, man. You'll start to see. So you really want to make sure that you're doing the math to cover all your bases. Hourly, do you have an hourly rate? Not only just an hourly rate, but a job rate. Then you have to upsell your parts. Have to do it because you're sourcing them. You have to remember that. Like, I know a lot of guys, when they first start and you're not upselling your parts, I'm not going to tell you what to upsell. I'm not going to get into my price points. That has nothing to do with this video. But learning your price points where you're making profits, because at the end of the day, you're in business to make money. You can try to get away from it. You can try to hide from it. But the fact still remains, you're in business to make money. That's why you do it. You don't go out there and stress. Now, on the flip side, as a business owner and as a leader, I do take pride in the fact that my guys have a paycheck off of our back and our energy and their backs, and I appreciate them more than anything in the world. But with that said, you're in business to make money. They're working to make money. You're in business to make money. So you have to be mindful of that. So the more you're able to find out price points, like I've been in the business long enough now where I have other clients that share with me prices that come from some of these bigger companies in certain respects, not in all. So I'm able to use those and leverage and understand what some of these bigger companies are charging. So it's like, even though I may charge a little bit lower and I still make money, I have some room, you know what I mean? Maybe you have room, maybe you don't. So as time evolves, do a little bit of studying, get as much information as you possibly can. Is really going to be helpful in your growth as a company, especially on the financial side. Because like I said, at the end of the day, this is all about making man. We're not in this and we don't bust our we don't stress, and we don't get agitated every single day to not make anything. Because at the end of the day, if you're not making money, you might as well close the doors, go work for somebody else. That's how I feel about it. You know what I mean? There's getting paid. There's a whole lot of layers to business ownership. Let's be honest. And that's not just my business, but I like to talk to service business owners because I think those are my people. That's what I've been doing my whole life. I've always, built houses or, did boiler work. And I've been doing that since I was 16 years old. So, here I am. I'm 42. So you do the math. My whole life I've been in the service industry, helping people work with my hands. And honestly, a lot of times because I'm more of a blue collar guy, and when I say that, I just mean like I've never really been a paper pusher. I'm not really an office guy. It's not really my thing, but you learn, you have to evolve. That's the other thing as a business owner is learning evolution. You can't just be the guy here. You have to learn how to do back end stuff too. Look, even social media, man. There was a long time that I didn't want to step in front of a camera. I remember, doing an intro video for a coaching group that I was involved in. It took me 2 hours to produce a 5-minute video because I just didn't know what to say, and I was so embarrassed. Now here I am. I've shot thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of videos, countless hours of videos of myself. I've had videographers take videos of me, and here I am doing these long form YouTube videos talking to you, and your comfort level will grow. And so it's the same thing in business. The more you do it, the more you ease into it, the better you're gonna be, and the more you're gonna learn, and everything gets to be easier. That's life. Everything you do, it's like playing sports. It's like anything you do in your life. No matter as many times as you do it, the better you're going to be. So I just encourage you to go out there, learn your price points, know your hourly rates. Once you know your hourly rates, then you can upsell those hourly rates. Once you know your parts, and you have to be very diligent with parts these days. It's not so simple. Very competitive on the pricing. There's a lot of different vendors. I can tell you that I use multiple vendors. And you'd be amazed. I have one vendor has one part and the other vendor has the same part, and that could be $2, $3, $4, even $1,000 difference in the prices. So it's not as simple as just getting one price from one person, buying and going. Now there is proximity, right? So for us, we're in New York City. If I got a guy in Queens, which is basically one borough, and one supplier is $100 less all the way in Brooklyn, I'm just going to go to Queens because the time it takes my guy to go all the way from Queens all the way to Brooklyn, the gas, the tolls, whatever else is involved, the time, right? Because it could be 2-3 hours in New York time, which is crazy, but again, another topic for another day. And then go back to the job. So again, it's all about learning and evolving and understanding what makes the most sense for you, because you have the hourly, you have the parts, and remember, with parts, you can sell however you need to, because there is a large scale of pricing deficiencies. And a lot of times, if your customer is going to be as cheap as and go on, look online, the online prices are always going to be way more expensive than anything you're getting anyway, so let them do it. That's how I feel. You know, for a long time, I was like, oh, but the customer, listen, I'm not saying the customer's stupid at all. I love my customers. I have great customers. They're amazing. But even if they went to my same supply house, the supply house will not give them the same price they give me. That's how supply houses work. That's how they make money. That's how they build relationships. You got to remember, they're a business too. So the longer they're in business, the more relationships they make with you and I, because we're the ones really buying the amount of product that is going to move their needle. They're not going to care when one, landlord or homeowner calls in to get a price. The price is not going to be the same. You don't have to worry about it. Just stay the course. Be smart. Be diligent. And man, I tell you, if you do the things that we're talking about implementing, you're going to win. You cannot lose in this business if you keep your head on right, you do the right thing, you show up for people, you show up for yourself, you show up for your people, never stop showing up for your people. And man, I wish you nothing but the best. I know you're going to crush it. I hope you're enjoying these videos, man. I enjoy making them for you. At the end of the day, it's all about the audience, man. The more subscribers we get, the more movement we get, the more I produce. You know what I'm saying? If it don't move and you don't like it, I'll probably still produce, because that's just who I am and I enjoy doing this. But I hope you guys have an amazing day. I hope you got something from this. If you did get something from this and you actually watch it all the way to the please leave a comment below. Let me know. Let's talk about it. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's all about conversation and it's all about growth. I hope you're growing. I'm always growing. And I have zero ego, so I have a lot to learn myself. I never sit here in front of you acting like I know everything. I want to learn. I hope you're learning. I hope you crush it. I hope you grow, and I hope you get everything you want in life. Peace.